Part 3, Emergent Curriculum. Now it's time to talk about curriculum. Let's start off with emergent curriculum. What is emergent curriculum? 1. Emergent curriculum reflects the children's interests, needs, and abilities. We, the teachers and educators, observe children during play and plan activities based on what we notice the children are interested in, which skills they are developing, and which skills they need more practice with. We consider the children's life experiences and their prior knowledge to plan a curriculum that they can directly associate with and deepen their understandings on a topic of interest. 2. Emergent curriculum is also related to the educator's knowledge of child development and their ability to recognize what the children are truly interested in and their capabilities in order to integrate learning across all areas of learning and development through play, real-life engagements, and routines and transitions. 3. It is constantly changing and evolving. Emergent planning is not done weeks in advance, as most theme-based curriculums tend to be. Instead, it is constantly changing to reflect the changing interests and needs of the children. Planning is typically done the week in advance or as soon as the day before the activities are implemented. Planning can even change the day of, if it is responsive to the children's interests. Teachers plan flexibility with children, as curriculum is constantly evolving in response to children's interests and building on children's strengths, needs, and interests. 4. Emergent curriculum is stimulating and challenging. It does not provide only one topic or avenue of learning, but a variety of topics and interests that challenges thinking and supports children to engage in alternative ways of explaining and representing their ideas. It is purposeful curriculum planning with children that builds on their interests, questions, queries, and wonder about the world. Emergent curriculum provides exciting, challenging, and motivating learning experiences for children. 5. It is collaborative, where the children and adults work together to contribute to decision-making processes. While activities are framed by the teacher, it is child-initiated, allowing for collaborations between children and teachers. Children are recognized as agents of their own learning. 6. Finally, emergent curriculum is respectful of the cultural and individual differences and learning styles of each child in the program. Now that we have an idea of what emergent curriculum is, let's look at how we do our planning with an emergent curriculum. Emergent planning includes 4 main components. 1. Observing and documenting. 2. Planning. 3. Implementing. And 4. Reflecting. BrightPath supports emergent curriculum planning using 4 main forms. 1. Observing children's interests. 2. Weekly planning, emergent programming, which is to be done up to a week prior to implementation. 3. Weekly planning, creative development, also only to be done up to a week before implementation. 4. Weekly planning, reflection, to be completed at the end of each week to assist with future planning. So let's start with looking at the Observing Children's Interests form. Observing children as they play, learn, and grow are natural parts of our day. We do it without even realizing that we are taking mental notes of what we can do and provide for the children that will support their interests and promote further investigations and learning. Every center in childcare will have some method of observing and recording children's interests, skills, and development. Here are some of the different types of observing methods used for curriculum purposes: anecdotal records, narratives, pictures, videos, and audio taping. To assist with writing down observations, here are some ideas that have been used by many of our staff: sticky notes, small notepads, baskets with small pieces of note paper, holding files, which are individual children's files set up on a shelf in a convenient location where staff can quickly add an observation note into the child's file. Observation binder, for the whole class or for each individual child. Observation forms. BrightPath has created an observation form as a tool to help you record your observations for curriculum purposes. This BrightPath observation form will assist you with curriculum planning. It includes 3 columns. 1. The date the observation was made. 2. What the observation was. Include the child or children's names, what they are doing, saying, or what their interests are. 3. Quick ideas of activities you could add to your classroom to support or build on these interests and skills. Writing accurate, objective observation is a skill that takes time and practice. We request that each staff write down at least 1 observation per day until it becomes routine or habit. Once this skill becomes second nature, you will find it quite easy to fill up an entire page of observations. Remember, observations can be on a group of children, a specific child, an activity, outside play, or a center in your room. If you forget to record your observations during the day, write them down at the end of the day before you leave. It's easier to remember events the day of, instead of trying to recall details the next day or week. Keep these observation forms in a place in your classroom that is easy for you to access. This makes it easier for you to write down quick notes as they are happening without having to miss the excitement. When they are outside in the hallway or tucked away in a cupboard, it will be easy to forget to write down your observations. When recording observations, try to be as objective as possible, meaning you write down exactly what you see, not your interpretation of what you think is happening. Objective observations state exactly who was involved and gives details about what they are doing or saying. Subjective observations may not tell us who was involved and offer opinions or interpretations such as, she liked or he was happy. Try to leave feelings out of observations. Here are a couple examples. Example 1. Subjective observation. 2 girls were pretending to be mommies and wash babies. Objective observation. Sarah and Leah used the sponges in the water table to wipe off the soap from the dolls. In this objective observation, the children's names are identified and it tells us exactly what the 2 girls are doing. Pretending to be mommies was taken out because this is the assumption of the observer and does not have any facts to support it. If the children said they were pretending to be mommies, then the observer can add that to the observation. Example 2. Subjective observation. John made a ramp and added cars to the block area. He pretended he was a race car driver. He didn't clean up his toys when asked. Objective observation. John pushed a blue car up a ramp he made with the wooden blocks. He then said, "The clock starts! Here he goes!" and he released the car down the ramp. In this example, the objective observation gives facts, not opinions or interpretations. It focused on what was the important parts in this play experience, not what the child didn't do. It provides more detail about the play instead of a general overview. Using the previous 2 examples, we can now complete an observation on our observation form. For the first example, we recorded the date the observation was made, an objective observation, and wrote down a few ideas of how we could extend the learning in the future. Try to expand learning experiences by moving the interests to another area in the room or adapting it to another developmental domain. Here is what was recorded for the next observation: the date of the observation, the objective observation, and some ideas of how to extend the interest and learning. After we have documented all these wonderful observations, we need to plan some activities to stimulate learning and support the children's interests. BrightPath has weekly planning emergent programming forms for you to use as a tool to help you organize and write down all your ideas. Each province has a different format for these planning forms, due to provincial requirements and standards, so please ask your director for the correct planning forms. Shown here is the Alberta and BC weekly planning form. Use your observations, your knowledge of children's development and interests, and community and family influences to plan activities for your classroom. Activities that are based on specific children's interests or skills, observations that you have recorded, should be highlighted as a reflection to show that you are meeting the needs and interests of the children in your care. Here is a sample of the Ontario Weekly Planning Form. Remember that emergent curriculum is ever-changing, so your planning page may look like a mess at the end of the week due to changes in the planning. It shows that you are flexible and adapting your classroom and the activities you provide to reflect the interests, needs, and abilities of the children in your group. Creative development is often forgotten or misrepresented in planning. To account for this, BrightPath provides a creative development planning form that enables the staff to record their daily, open-ended art experiences for the children. Art projects can sometimes require a lot of materials and time to prepare. So this form helps you organize this information so that everyone is aware of what art projects are happening that week and how they can assist with the activity. Here are a few tips for planning creative art experiences. Keep the activities open-ended. Provide the materials and possibly an idea, and then allow the children to create on their own. Provide at least one art and one sensory activity every day. Daily changes to art and sensory experiences can be as simple as adding or substituting one material each day, or as extensive as providing new art and sensory experiences every day. Art projects can be different every day, progressive throughout the week, or be a month-long project. For example, you may do collages one day, painting on 2 different days, and Play-Doh on the other 2 days. For week-long projects, you start off with collecting materials one day, assembling the next couple days, then adding on to it the last couple days. Simplify or extend each creative experience as needed and follow the children's interests. Month-long projects provide great opportunities for children to express and extend their creative talents, as they have continual access to the project and can change it or add to it as they feel is needed. And remember, creative development focuses on the process, not the product. The last step in the emergent curriculum planning is reflecting. Reflection allows us to take a step back and see what worked, what didn't work, what to keep, and what to change that will help us create a stimulating and fun environment for the children. This reflection only takes a few minutes to complete and should be done at the end of every week. Since this is emergent curriculum, involve the children in decision-making and ideas for future activities. Completing a reflections form is meant to assist you with future planning and is part of the emergent curriculum planning cycle. Emergent curriculum includes documentation, methods to make children's learning and teachers' thinking visible. This is done through collecting children's work, photographs, daily reports, developmental progress reports, documentation panels, and classroom books. BrightPath encourages staff to provide this visual learning and feedback and offers some tools and ideas for accomplishing this. Here are some ideas of what to include in each child's portfolio. Sample of child's work and artwork, developmental progress reports, observations and anecdotal records, pictures and/or any videos or audio recordings. To organize the portfolios, you can try personal portfolio books or binders, file folders, or portfolio bags. Be creative and see what works best for you. Not everything the child does needs to go into their portfolio. Collect samples of their work throughout the year that gives an accurate outline of how the child is learning and how much they have grown from the start to the end of the year. And here's a tip. Frog Street has an excellent resource guide that will help you set up your children's portfolios. Check out the ideas in the resource guide, Assessment, a Portfolio Approach. Documentation panels are a great way to relay information to parents and families, and are an excellent way to put a visual reference to all the hard work you and the children have done in the classroom. Documentation panels are similar to picture boards, except they include descriptions of the photos or a description of what is happening and what the children are learning in this activity. Again, be creative and see what you and the children can create. Change these boards every so often, about every month, more often if you want, so that it gives an accurate account of what has happened recently in your room. The last part of documentation we use here at BrightPath is Developmental Progress Reports. These are typically completed for each child twice a year, around October and March. This is similar to a report card that a child will receive in primary school. It's a record of the child's development and demonstrates how and what the child has learned over the course of the last few months. This is typically broken down into learning domains and comes with a written summary of the child's experiences. This report also assists you with understanding what type of activities you may need to incorporate into your classroom to help children develop different skills. For example, if a child is struggling with fine motor skills such as using scissors or lacing objects, then you can make sure that you provide these activities more often to encourage development in this area.